Welcome back to Project Independence in You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. It's Rebecca Miller and Kristina Lou, and it is now time for Talk of the Town. But, I just want to say, of course, Joe's been on before, just extremely informative, and, what a great guy, and just wealth of information all around.
I know we always laugh because Joe is, he's been at our conferences before.
Yes.
In the past. He's like everyone knows Joe Sledge, he's just like the guru of all information with veterans benefits. And, and that's what it always strikes me about these wonderful organizations and the ability that we have an hour, to really talk to people doing great things, and we always say that all the time is, we know so many seniors and even just, non-seniors who just don't even know where to begin, right, for help. I mean, I think we could all safely say all of us need, assistance, for different reasons. Yeah. And there's so many organizations, and like the VA, that are providing services that you have no idea about, and I think the first step is always just kind of like getting connected. And it's like with PI, you could either utilize it or not, become a member. One day you might want to use an exercise class.
Right.
One day you might want to, call a social worker and ask her something, personal, and that's what I think is so important, that we get to kind of spread that knowledge and that word that there really are people who are doing such wonderful things and really want to help. And especially at the VA,
Right. And he cleared up a lot of the eligibility questions,
absolutely.
That a lot of people have. And, you can, even if you're in your 80s or 90s and you've never, utilize the VA, but you're a veteran, even non-combat, you have, you're eligible, just like Joe was saying, just fill out, it's a 2-page application. What's the worst, it doesn't work. And then you could try again, even, at maybe later date. So, I mean, it's
and I love that there's these patient advocates, because I always think that that's so beneficial, because there is, unfortunately, a lot of these things, I get it. It can be overwhelming, the documentation you might need, the process, it's a lot, and that's a huge reason why we, reallocated things to have a veterans caseworker, for that time, because it is something that's kind of hard to cut through, certain tape and stuff. But having these patient advocates, I loved, because they're connected in it and could help. And Joe gave out his email. We'll have it up at the end of this segment too, and you could obviously call 311. We'll give you all the information for him, because he's wonderful, and it's nice. It's nice to showcase great people doing great things.
Right. And it's so in him because he's been there so long. He's also a veteran.
Yes.
He comes from a veteran family. So it's, he really is like knows it all, and and coming from him is really important, because it's just fill out the application. That's all. It's 2 pages.
Right.
Not crazy. And you might be eligible, and and also your spouse might be eligible for some of the, not as many of the services, but there's the caregiver, there's the other services that Joe was talking about. So
and that was what I was just finding so many parallels throughout the interview between, our, PI
absolutely
and the VA. I'm just saying there because, what we always deal with too, at PI, and obviously as the years went on, it's more of a widespread, concept, and it's so ingrained in North Hempstead, frankly, it's a core service. And I think that, a lot of seniors who might be saying, oh, I don't need that. I don't, and these terms, they just, entitlements. They don't think, it's like, oh, I'm not even like touching that. But there's, so many important things. And like Project Independence, the VA, you put in yourself, it is now the community's duty to help you and give back to you, so it's not about you, taking. It's really the service that is providing it for you. And living in North Hempstead, I think about that all the time. Seniors are not, don't have children in school right now. And that's what we would say. But Project Independence is is for you for paying taxes. So you're actually paying for like this program, so it's like, it's breaking down those myths and those things. Like, I'm not, taking a handout or whatever it might be, and it's just so important to kind of reframe that mindset. And I thought it was so interesting when Joe, was talking about how he does that, with the veterans that are hesitant to use the program.
Right. We all have these preconceived notions about, who in the past really would go to government, your local municipality, to speak with a community social worker. I mean, it's just the last thing. And the same thing with like the VA at Northport. Everybody just assumes it's a hospital, or when they change to a medical center. Now people are a little bit more savvy, but
but it's breaking down those ideas, and that you're so right, because I know that, listen, I've had that common thing too. It's like you think of the VA, it's the veteran who's been severely injured in combat, goes there. Like that's it's always that like old school kind of thing. But you're so right. Just the amount of services and the mental health services that are being provided at the VA are so important too. And that's just you're right. Like the community. Yeah, I mean, I remember when I was going into social work school, and some of my friends would be like, "Oh my God!" Like you hear like the word social worker, like those are the people that like take your children away. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like you hear like these social worker words, and you're like, "Whoa!" Like they're just and it's really breaking down that, and it's such a larger scope. And at the end of the day, the average person is trying to help you, which is
right. Yeah.
But I just want to mention the Veterans Donation Drive one more time, because listen, we're coming into Veterans Day, is next.
Right.
And I'd love to. It's certainly a time that I think you should always be thinking about veterans, but it's a time to even more think about it. So this is gift cards is what they're accepting to supermarkets and to pharmacies, and it's going through December 31st, and that is for the Hero Help Hunger Project. To mail the gift card, I have the address in front of me now. I had looked it up during the break. It is to the Veterans Advisory Committee, and it's at the Town of North Hempstead, 220 Plandome Road, Manhasset, and that's 11030. So that's Town Hall's address, obviously. But it's really great. I think it's important too. And whatever you can give, in that gift card amount, is certainly beneficial.
Right.
Too.
There's no bad amount.
Right. Anything, I think about that all the time. It's just the littlest thing goes a long way. So just remember that this, Veterans Day and this holiday season, we're all in stores. I mean, the amount of times I'm in a store, I could, and I'm definitely putting that on my list because I'd like to do that as well.
Yeah. I don't know, Kristina, how could we be talking about holidays? Isn't it still July?
I said, I don't know like what happened to the month of October, like it was, it's like the overall consensus amongst like everyone I know, everyone's like, what, like, how did October like just end? Like it was just here, like that. And boom, gone, and now I'm freezing cold and I'm not quite ready for this.
I know. And Kristina, you had so many celebrations in October. I was thinking this morning, because this is what I think about. How can you top the celebrations you had in October? Like, how does a Kristina party next year?
You got to just keep upping that bar,
I mean, you had an igloo. I don't understand. How do you?
I keep setting the bar too high for my friend group. They're really going to start being quite demanding of things. Listen, we laugh about these things, but it goes back to like finding something that brings you joy, right? And keep your mind on something else. We are in a time, of constant influx, and we're, it's like you literally don't know, you can't like catch your breath sometimes, and I think it's so important. And whatever it is for you, and I've been saying this all through the pandemic, is like finding that thing, right? And we always say that, gratitude, we throw these words around, but it's a real thing. And my mom and I always say we constantly need to be like planning something. Right. And it could be the silliest thing. We turn everything into some kind of like event or program. Like nothing is ever just like simple. It's like, oh, well, we do this. Yeah. But that's to help our own mental health. Like we know we can go excessive. We can go, go bigger,
just
go
slightly. I mean,
but it's something that for us, it brings us so much joy, and to see the happiness amongst the people we're doing it for, or, like that's my favorite thing, is to like plan a gift for someone, right? If I know you, and it's because all my friends like, you should go in business. I was like, yeah, but the fun of it for me is like, I know that person, right?
Yes,
and
you sure do.
To see joy on them, so for me, that's my thing, and that's why I always encourage people. It's easy to, in these times to get like bogged down, right? And it's work. It takes work to find the thing that, and whether it's just going for a walk outside, people like to watch sports, people like to watch movies, whatever your kind of thing is, people like to do crafts, whatever it is, I think it's so important to have something, and
Yeah.
it breaks up the monotony of the days and stuff. So that is how I do. I said I just got to plan something, and it's certainly important. So, and when it comes out, it's just so great. When you see that final product, and you're tired, and it's really kind of a fun thing. So, and it was for my husband's 40th. So, I had to like go super big.
You did. And it's like, and to have Kristina in your life is to get these, like she was saying, they're every holiday or birthday, the gift has so much meaning. It's like, and like, she knows these little things about you and she will find it. I have on my desk here. I'm just going to share this with everybody because I do around 3:00 every day in my office. I have I require chocolate. So Lisa got me a little chocolate bell, and which when I hit it, sometimes people come. And I do run out of chocolate frequently. So Kristina actually made me in case of an emergency, break the glass chocolate. So it's just, it's just, she always knows exactly what to do. And it's fun. It's so fun.
Well, listen, that's why I said we gotta, it's these little tiny things. If that's just my go-to. I'm always like, it's the little things. It's the little things.
It's the little things. Totally. This is on my desk forever.
That's right. Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And we are coming up to back, which is crazy because we were saying we are now, in November.
Countdown. It's like
crazy.
The countdown.
It's insane. And our November email newsletter for Project Independence just got sent out this week. And of course, we have a little thing in there about Thanksgiving and just kind of reminders on things to be thankful for. Because like I said, it's important. And I think repetition in your brain, it sinks in. So it's really important to kind of do that. And we have our Pioneer newsletters attached in there. I know some people, unfortunately, like it came late to some people and, but outside of, there are some events that might have passed already. The bulk of it is really informational. And these are things that don't have a, expiration date on them. They're important to really just take with you. And of course, as we mentioned, there's a little thing about gratitude, which really ties into Thanksgiving. And it's, some easy stuff to do. It's not that.
And also there's the Otto article.
There is we have to mention our fabulous Otto article. And it's just a lot of great information. So that is inside our email newsletter as well. But if you did not receive a hard copy, and you are 60 or older in the town of North Hempstead, please call 311 or 516-869-6311. I will personally check and see if you are on the list. And if you are not on the list, I will make sure the mailing house adds you to the list. So I just want people to get it because, like I said, it's really a lot of wonderful information in that.
Yeah, I told you. I said, this is like my favorite Pioneer ever.
It's good stuff. I like it. Practical knowledge. It just was
packed with a lot of really good stuff. It flowed well. I think that it's an important newsletter because there is like very important information in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And kudos to you, Kristina.
Well, thank you very much. And a lot of the information I got were ideas that came off this very show. So
yes,
shout out to this show as well. But in the newsletter, we mention a lot about our different groups. We have our caregiver group. We were talking a lot about caregivers before.
Yeah.
And this group is, I could personally say, I've, Zoom hosted it, numerous times, and it's an amazing group. They are amazing people. They share such great resources. They are such a support for one another, and I like that they're all at different kind of stages of being a caregiver. And the more veteran ones of the group really help the person who's just newly in this. And
yeah,
it's incredible. It's, I sit there and I'm, crying behind the scenes because it's so inspirational and lovely. So that is on Wednesdays. And that's still meeting via Zoom. So a lot of our groups some are Zoom, some are in person. So I just want people to know that one is still opted to meet via Zoom. And, in all seriousness, that actually worked out for the group, the Zoom feature, because a lot of these people are caregivers. So it's very difficult for them to leave the house. So having the Zoom option, they're able to go in another room while someone takes care of there's, whoever's taking a nap, whatever it might be. So they're able to still get that, hour of support, which I think is so nice that they might not have been able to do if it was only in person. So
yeah, absolutely.
I was thinking that's something that, really worked well for that group. We also have a group that's gaining quite the momentum over at the Roslyn Community Center. That is the Golden Hearts Bingo group. On top of doing bingo, there's a nurse there giving blood pressure screenings, and you could sit with a social worker and the nurse and kind of, talk about whatever you need. And I just think that's great because you have a little bit of fun and then your health as well. So it's the two worlds combined. So that's on Thursdays over at the Roslyn Community Center. Of course, we have at Yes We Can. We have Fridays of exercise for balance and strength. We have a current events group, What in the World is Going On, and we have a Color Me Calm, group, which I think is really, really great too. So that is there. Now, to in-person groups, we have our men's group is now meeting at the Hillside Library. That's in New Hyde Park on Lakeville Road, and that meets on Fridays, which is nice. So that group decided they all wanted to meet. Of course, the library follows all kinds of COVID-19 protocols and social distancing and mask wearing and whatnot. So that is now in person. So we have kind of something for everyone, Beck, which is really, really nice. And also we have coming up, if I could remember what today's date is, we'd be in business, on November 9th at the Great Neck Social Center, the St. Francis Cardiac Screening Van.
Right.
Will be going there, and they're actually giving out flu shots as well.
Okay. Well, we got to take a quick break. You've been listening to Talk of the Town with Kristina Liu on Project Independence and You. On 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. We're going to take a quick break. We will be right back.
So I get this call from my grandma, and she's like,
"What's a podcast, and how much does it cost?"
So I tell her, podcasts are like radio shows, but you can download them on any device and listen to them anywhere at any time, and they're free. And then she says,
"I see, but where can you find good ones?"
And I'm like, go to wcwp.org/podcast and check out the lineup of original shows, or download any podcast app on your phone or tablet and search for LIU Studios. And she's all like,
"Oh, that sounds easy."
And then she asked me what an app is.
LIU Studios podcasts, available on any podcast app. Those little button things on your phone screen. Just ask your grandkids.
Welcome back to Project Independence and You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. I'm Rebecca Miller, along with Kristina Liu, the radio show producer extraordinaire. You're tuning in now to Talk of the Town, where we're hearing everything about what's going on with Project Independence, but also town-wide. So we're getting a lot of information. Kristina, it's just amazing that, how many programs are out there. And it's like, and again, I'm thinking, the newsletter is so important. Like, I hope people don't just, it's just something from, Colorful Magazine with, just put it in the recycle. If you read it, you'll learn a lot about it, the programs and services. And it's not all about, helping people as they, because you're getting older. Like, we have fitness classes.
Yeah.
We have a lot of kind of cool things, educational stuff, help with technology. You can go to an in-person class. You can watch fitness classes on North Hempstead television. So though there is a lot of, aging in place services and connections, there's also a lot to do, if you just want to kind of catch a fitness class or learn about, kind of getting on Facebook. I mean, there's so many things.
There is, we always, pride ourselves in trying to have like something for everyone, and that's something that, our core team over the years, most of us have been there, from like the get-go of Project Independence and developing it. And that's something that I think is so special about PI, is that over the years, it's not a program that's just like a stagnant program. Like, oh yeah, we have the service and like that. There's always some like reevaluating we're trying to do, or come up with new programming. And, like, especially, with COVID and stuff, that really jump started the technology stuff,
Yeah.
It's I think it's important because listen, we're 60 and over, so that is a humongous lifespan, for serving. We got 60-year-olds, we got 100-year-olds, 100 plus, I should say now. So that's a huge chunk of time, and it's really about finding something for all those people at different stages of your life, as we mentioned, in earlier segments. It's life is constantly evolving, and what you needed yesterday might not be what you need, tomorrow, so it's important to have these different kind of new innovative programs. And, I think it just showed with the success of the fitness program, Beck, that you had so much involvement. I mean, I've seen you firsthand, the planning, and not even just the planning beforehand, it's the maintaining it while it's happening. And but it's such a popular program. And the fact that it's on North Hempstead TV, in addition to having in-person classes, is really just an amazing thing, because fitness is so important, right? And staying active, and it's the littlest thing, that's why I'm like a firm believer in, taking one class is better than, no classes, and so the fact that people who are at home, that it might be hard for them to get somewhere to do it, have that same ability to, partake in the same kind of exercise class for Project Independence, I think is so amazing. And I could firsthand see all the phone calls that come in, because Paulie, you all, and myself, pick up those SRs, and I see people calling about the exercise program, and for in-person and out. So it's, I think it's amazing to have a free class. Like, it's like, I mean, look at the amount of money people have to pay joining certain gyms and different classes. And the fact that there's such an array of programming, and, obviously things had to be kind of capped, due to COVID protocols and whatnot. But, the TV show, you're able to, if you want to exercise all day long, you can. You could
It's so
true. You could be sitting in front of that TV, just, doing all kinds of different programs. So,
and, like what we were saying with Joe is what I really love discovering about, using North Hempstead television, is the fact that there are people that are just not going to become technologically savvy at this point in their life. And it's a choice, for a lot of them, it's a choice. Some of them, they're just not getting it. And for whatever reason, their choice is, I really don't want to do it. So, we were able to reach those people that we just aren't able to do. We just really aren't, aware, because they're maybe homebound for whatever reason, not necessarily, disabled, but, maybe they don't drive, or whatever the reason is that they're homebound now later in the year, later in life. And they're television, they watch television.
And that's what I think is so wonderful, that we have, really dove into North Hempstead TV with so many different programming. Obviously we mentioned exercise, the radio show is on there, and we've had different things. And I loved, John Ryan and myself, we did a Fun Day Monday thing. We did a Thanksgiving, kind of thing when we couldn't, this was earlier in the pandemic. And those were so wonderful, times, fond memories that I'll always have in doing those, because it was just such innovative programming. And it's really how this radio program too, kind of evolved into this community-based thing. I was getting calls of people saying like, oh my God, who was that radio show guest you had on? I saw that. And this was, I watched it with my daughter, and it was cool because it opened the audience not to just a senior-based thing, and this show really, yes, we talk a lot about, senior issues and stuff, but it's really about community and all the wonderful organizations that are in the community, and, the great work the town does, and all the surrounding, the partnerships, and that's at the core of what Project Independence is, is all these connections and this medium of having the TV and now the radio show, and now having it as a TV show, just makes the audience bigger. And I could just see, I'm getting calls from people all the time saying, oh, I want to be a guest on the show, or I know so-and-so. So it's great for me because it's, it's saving me some trips of people just, flooding in. I have lists of possible guests to reach out to for the radio show that could, take me, into like another 10 years of program.
Yeah. And, the radio show was an idea of, a Project Independence member at an advisory board. So many of these, and, Jerry was so progressive.
Mm-hmm.
What I loved about him was, he wanted to do that, I forget what it's called, the simulator, to help people kind of determine whether they should be driving or not, or maybe to actually help them and, become more comfortable driving as we get older, and like he really, really wanted a program like that to work and hooked us up with somebody at MIT. It's just Project Independence just, really, really goes beyond it. Like, again, to come back, it's coming from the residents.
Yeah.
Great.
Absolutely. They're just as big of the puzzle, as all the people that work for Project Independence, and I think that's what's cool. There's so much collaboration. We have seniors, and I laugh because, each of us have, our seniors, or sometimes they're the same senior who calls, all of us to tell us something. But, they're so on a daily basis will call and have a suggestion or, a question. And it's really them being part of the team of things, and we laugh all the time with Otto. Otto at this point, is essentially, an employee of North Hempstead with all the services, and he's been there from the journey of the involvement of Project Independence too. So I think that's what makes it really cool, that having that collaboration with the seniors and the local organizations and stuff is my favorite part. I love like a big hodgepodge of getting together and figuring it out. So that's wonderful, and it's special, and it warms my heart every time I think about it. It makes me super happy. So that is my favorite part. But back to the news and events. Medicare Part D. We're still in that open enrollment phase that kicked off in October. It goes until December 7th. That you have that window to kind of make changes. And a great program that we're doing again this year that we did last year that was so successful is the Medicare Part D. Which plan is right for you? It's Tuesday. It's going to be the first session. And these are phone appointments. So you have phone appointments with different pharmacists from St. John's University who we collaborate with.
Right.
And then we also have the next one is November 16th. So you're able to have your list of medications, talk one-on-one, you make an appointment, the appointment will be scheduled for you, and you kind of break it down what you're taking, and they'll tell you the plan that's best. And the amount of money, that's my favorite part once the program's all over, is to see how much money is saved, the total amount. And it's just amazing. And this is something that it's very individual, and it's not a one size fits all thing. And what, worked for you last year might not work for you today because things are always changing, I think we can all vouch for that.
So a few weeks ago, we had someone on talking about, the Medicare changes.
Yes. Yep, Barry Klitzberg.
It was an excellent show.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I think we should remind our listeners is that they can always listen to old radio shows.
Yeah, and it's so funny you said that because I was actually on one of my numerous to-do lists. I was just talking to Dan, and he added all of our October radio shows have been added to the WCWP YouTube channel. We also have them archived on our Project Independence website. But what's great about the YouTube format is really easy to send around, and that's something I put on my list because I want to send out to we have a whole advisory distribution email list. And if you want to be added to that, you could certainly, give us a call as well. Mm-hmm. But I want to send that out because I think there was such great information on all of our shows. Yeah. But in particular, that Medicare one, because, it's a very current, and we have
timely, a
certain thing, but it is so important. I'm so glad you mentioned that, Beck, because most of the shows we have are stuff that, holds for, it's not time sensitive, right? Some events might be and stuff, but, majority of them you could go back and on our website, you just type in the search bar, a thing, and then you'll see if there was a show on it. And if you're having trouble, please give me a call. And I can certainly help, facilitate that, because there is so many wonderful guests that we've had on the show, and especially in recent times.
Yeah.
So that is true, Beck. So thank you. So you could check us out. You can't escape us. You could check it, listen to us, watch us.
So
we
true.
Are everywhere. We are certainly everywhere right now. But I really encourage people to do that Medicare Part D.
Yeah.
So you need to obviously make a reservation for that. Also, we have our Blankets of Love group. And I was thinking, too, when we were talking with Joe Sledge about, the Northport VA, is that these women who did, they made these phenomenal blankets, and they pop these blankets out so fast. I mean, the amount of donation, it is amazing. And they last year donated to the veterans, the VA, which I thought was lovely. So they made lap blankets for veterans, which is really, really nice. But this is a group that meets at Clinton G. Martin Park on Tuesdays at 1 p.m. And what's nice about that, too, is some people choose to meet, come in person, but you can also Zoom in if you're not comfortable, to do that, too. So I like these little hybrid kind of ideas that are going on, that the group really decides what to do.
Now, this isn't just for ladies. It just
of course,
happens.
Right. It is currently just ladies, but it is not just for ladies.
Correct.
It's certainly important. Anyone that wants to, help out, and it's a real wonder. It's an amazing group, and you're giving to wonderful causes. They have
absolutely
donated to so many all over, the island. We also have a great program from Cornell Cooperative Extension at Magnolia Gardens on November 17th, which is a Wednesday at 11 a.m. is portion size bingo. I love when they do these different bingos because they're fun and people like to play them, but they're educational. And we know that Cornell Cooperative is just phenomenal. We had them on our program, a couple of weeks ago talking about mindful eating. And that will also be the topic at our next advisory committee on Wednesday, November 17th, to remind people how to mindful eat around the holidays. So I'm very excited for that, because she is wonderful, Nicole Borakov, who's been on our show just a couple of weeks ago. So she'll be at our advisory also talking about that, and that is virtual as well.
That's a tricky thing. I mean, I'm just putting it out there because I think mindful eating is complex as it is, but when around the holidays, when everyone...
I learned all, and that's what's so great about it, because I think people have these, and I learned because of, I hosted the radio show that day with Otto, and she was, what I loved about it, because it's something I can get behind, because I've never been quite the dieter type of gal, is that it's a no judgment situation, which was my favorite piece, right? So, and it's not beating yourself up or getting angry, how did I do, because I think we've all been there, oh, why did I eat that? Oh,
yeah.
You're always having this internal battle. But it's really about not, no judgment zone. And it's not about, especially during the holidays, she'll give tips on, it's not saying no, you can't have that. It's just about kind of incorporating ways, to make it a little healthier. And that's something that always stuck with me, because she had said, many years ago, we've had her on so many times on our radio show, is really around the holidays is to have the more colorful your plate is the better it is for you. And I was like, and that always really stuck with me, because you think about that, your plate can be very bland, monotone. We all know if you stick with, just straight carbs or something. So if you throw vegetables in, add some color. So, and it's pretty to eat. So there you go.
Well, on that mindful note, we have to take a quick break. You've been listening to Project Independence in You on 88.1 WCWP.org, and we will be right back.
Take WCWP with you wherever you go with the WCWP app. Listen live 24/7 to all of our streams, all from one app. Plus, call the studios directly from the app and visit our social media. Download the app through the iOS App Store on Apple devices or the Google Play Store on Android by searching WCWP Radio, or visit WCWP.org for links. The WCWP app, available now on iOS and Android devices.
welcome back to Project Independence in You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM, WC and WCWP.org. I'm Rebecca Miller, along with Kristina Liu, who is the radio show producer, and also we are the hosting team right now for Project Independence in You. And now this is the final segment of the show, Talk of the Town, and we're just learning everything that's going on with the town, but also Project Independence, and it's amazing. Kristina puts together an amazing show. I mean, that hands down, you produce an amazing show.
Well, a team effort works out well.
And there's so much information, and it's mind-boggling how many programs and services that we put out there at Project Independence. I mean, also the town does terrific stuff. I mean, there's so many on a bigger, scale. But it's pages of things and services that are out there. And it's really wonderful. I mean, Project Independence in You has just done tremendous. And I like what you were saying before, Kristina, about, we're progressive too. We're always kind of learning and absorbing and going with the changes, and then learn something, we keep it going. And I mean, I think very rarely have we ever had a program or a service where it was like really bad and we're like, oh, we can't do that.
And it's like, and like obviously we've had different like groups and stuff that have like kind of evolved and changed over the years and stuff. But I think that's what's nice is like it's always something that's being, evaluated and talked about. And I think that's what's great, and speaking of like just seniors and whatnot, last week and then yesterday I was like trying to, because digging through census data can really kind of like blow your mind sometimes. It's very difficult. The 2020 stuff is slowly coming out from the 2020 census. It's not fully out, so they have these 2019 estimates and whatnot. So the number is probably even bigger is what my point is. So, in 2019, it was, and we always say in all of our material, there's 50,000 senior numbers, kind of our
50,
go-to.
right, yeah.
50,
right.
50. So when I looked up the 2019 stats, it's now, that's 63,811 is what the North Hempstead seniors is. And that's 28% of the population of North Hempstead as a whole. And that's 60.
That's people 60 and over.
60 and over, yep. And I looked back to 2010, which you should be surprised about how difficult it is to really, I'm like, isn't there just like a software where I could be like, I need these categories, boom, boom, boom. Not that easy.
Sorry, I think I asked you to do that.
Yeah, no, but that was something that I just want, because I'm just always curious about the.
Yeah.
So, in 2010, which is like what most of our, idea of this 50,000, it was 53,000 about that, 53 and change.
Okay.
So it's gone up, 4%, and even more so, I'm assuming, once we get the 2020 stats, but it just shows you, I mean, this aging population, because I left, I was talking to my husband about it, and he's like, there's always going to be seniors. He's like, he's like, that is just something we can guarantee that is growing at a rapid rate. It's not just in North Hempstead. It's, it's been happening for years now. And it's, the silver tsunami is still in full strong, going strong.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's what is so important, to, for programs like Project Independence and services for the aging, because it's, people are living longer too, which there's issues that, we need to think about, and how to care for that and whatnot. And I think that's something we're always looking at, and especially for this show, having different guests on who could, speak to that. So I just had to share that number, because when I was doing it, I was like, oh my God, when did this happen?
Yeah.
I feel like
I know you sent it. I was like, wow.
It's time goes by. So, I think we're always, you get stuck. Cause I laugh with my friends, because for some reason I'm always stuck at this like 10-year mark, right? Like, oh, we've been friends for 10 years. And then, and it's like, just like 10 years. And then like all of a sudden we're like, oh my God, it's no longer 10 years. It's like closer to like 20 years. Like what just happened, So
yeah,
it's, and like with these numbers, it just really showed like, oh my gosh, it's incredible. So
it really is.
I had to share that, because it was quite the epiphany I had when I stumbled upon that data.
And it's so important that Project Independence, programs like Project Independence, is already in place for the silver tsunami.
Right.
Because we don't actually know how to serve, people in their 90s and 100s. Like we talk about this a lot, like when I was a kid, it was rare when someone was in their 90s. Like if someone had a grandparent, oh my, it was 90s.
Oh, wow. Right.
That's like, and today it's like 100 is rare, but not unheard
but not
of.
crazy. It's something, I know so many, 90-year-olds, and I think about that with our, program, because it's been in effect for so long. A lot of the seniors that have been with us have, started off in their 70s, and
Amazing.
now like in their 80s or late 80s, and some are in their
Right.
90s, and it's like, oh my God, like when did that happen? Because that's another thing. I'm always like, when did you become 90? I don't even know exactly when this happened. So
it's true. Like I could tell you, I can think off the bat without mentioning names. I know couples and who were, in Project Independence and, started out and they were driving and now, and now they're not, they can no longer drive. So they're using.
Well, now they know about the transportation and that's what, it's a perfect case study, those couples, because I know a lot of couples and, solo people as well who, you've seen them through the course of life. And that's what we talk about, all the time, is like just to visually see this, but they know this information. So it's for them, it's an easier transition as opposed to, oh God, like now you're here, you don't drive, and you're like, oh my God, what do I do? Like what happens?
Right.
People, they're familiar with the transportation program and with Shari and calling her directly and asking her questions. And, it eased the idea of, giving up the keys, because they've seen numerous times, how to give up your keys. We've had
right. Because I know a lot of the people now who are in their 90s that maybe have given up their keys also did car fit. So, they got a little bit older, maybe their ability to turn their head or quickly. So they come in and they have the car fit done and they know how to be seated in the car. Maybe they need to be closer. Maybe they need a longer rear view mirror.
And let me tell you, car fit is good for any age, because I also got car fit. And
me too.
It was, there's stuff that really stuck with me, for the longest time. I was driving with my mirror showing my car because it was just like my security, right? So I was like, but then I remember it's like, no, like, you're in your car. You want to like maximize what you can see outside your car. And it takes something to get used to, right? Because I was like, oh my God, like, where's my car? Like, I don't even know where my car is, but now, and I always think I'm so cool because I like preach it to everyone. I'm like, you're not supposed to see your car, FYI.
Right, exactly.
But it really is an amazing, and like, so there's little things like that, and how far you were supposed to be from your steering wheel,
how at the angle of the steering wheel.
Because I'm a short lady, I don't have the longest legs in the world, so I was, notorious, like, sitting, and then it's really dangerous, to be seated, driving with your steering wheel so close to you. So, Shari will whip out like her ruler and stuff and show you, and it's something I really recommend for everyone. We've seen seniors sitting on, stacks of books.
Telephone books.
Right. So we won't mention any names about
that
those.
was, right.
But, there's buttons in these new cars that I think, you don't even know what they do half the time. So it's so important to, even if you get a new car, to really acclimate yourself. And there are ways, because as you were mentioning, Beck, I don't think people are aware that, steering wheels tilt. I wasn't. I'm like, here's my steering wheel. I'm like not touching this thing. Like it's just there, but there's all different kinds of adjustments.
Right. Because when that airbag deploys, you don't want it just coming to your face. You want it angled. So I was car fit like right when they first started doing it. I don't know if it was Emily or Shari, but Shari's always trying to, tell me what to do. But she also always, she's very good with
she knows
sure you're at your
right.
safest. I swear I had my car fit, and that week I was involved in a 5-car accident.
I remember.
I was getting on the expressway and I was waiting my turn to get on, and there was 2 cars ahead of me, and one car came and hit me, and then the other car behind it came and hit that car. I was like in the middle. I was the only one that got out of that car. Like I got out right away. I'm like, what's going on? and someone was taken away by an ambulance, and I was just positioned right.
Yeah.
I even expected the next day to feel sore.
Right,
I
right.
didn't. I was really, I was in my Camry, which is a pretty safe car. But yeah, it's important to know those kinds of things. And then you probably are going to get another year or two out of driving when you're adjusted, and you feel more confident and comfortable.
No, and there's so many adaptations, like to your car, whether it's adding, like, they make these little, like, an additional mirror thing. I mean, there's all kinds of different things that can be added, that I've seen Sherry, talk about and stuff for people who are still driving to, kind of maintain that. And it's just, it's so, like, that to me is just so amazing, because we really have seen it firsthand. I'm so glad you brought that up, Beck, because, we talk about time, but, like, we actually have, like, visual studies, of seeing, the senior who's been acclimated into the program, and kind of it works for different stages of their life, which I think is,
Yeah.
Really,
I mean, we really do have great data now, and at 15 years or 16, 17 years, right? I mean,
and Sherry will actually be on our show in December, so you could listen to her and watch her, and she'll be talking about, different PI stuff. But, next week we have a repeat show, so I want to promote stuff that's coming that I can't promote next week. We have a Project Hope we had on the radio show.
Yeah.
We're having on the radio show, excuse me.
Right.
The advisory. But Project Hope is a really great service that helps people coping with, the world we're living in with COVID. It's not just if you've had COVID, it's just like kind of acclimating to it. And there's a lot of people are realizing the mental health component that this pandemic has really had on people. So it's this wonderful emotional support helpline. They get educational materials. They're doing great stuff. There's going to be a program at Magnolia Gardens in Westbury at 11 a.m. on November 18th that they'll also be talking about this. And then in December, we actually have Project Hope will be on our radio program as well. So we'll learn about that too. We have the social discussion group. That is November 18th. Now that group decided they want to stay via Zoom. So they're meeting via Zoom on Thursdays. It's a great group too. So I really encourage people to check out this. So there's something for everyone, as we always say. And of course, we mentioned all these exercise classes. Now, Beck, is there any room in exercise classes in person, or what's the deal with those?
Yeah, I mean, there are a few classes that have openings. Of course, people can only do one class per series just because of, social distancing, and, everybody's been great and, understand. And, a lot of the participants, of course, went from taking 3 classes a week prior to COVID to only being able to take 1. Of course, there's a huge reduction in the size of the classes to accommodate social distancing. So we're happy. A lot of people weren't able to get in their first choice because it filled up very quickly. So we appreciate how everybody is, okay, we got to do what you got to do. And then, come, I guess, February, it'll start up again. There's no registration date as of yet. That has not been mapped out because we needed to really see how this flowed, be able to determine what we can do, what the protocol is going to be in 2022. So,
and I think that's something, that has been quite challenging, I think, for all of us, both, professionally and personally, planning things, because things change so frequently. And the number one priority is just trying to keep everyone safe. You know what I mean? And some people might not disagree with it or whatnot, but we're always kind of just trying to be safe and sorry. And with exercise, it was so great that things we were able to hold. Obviously, it wasn't as many, or the size wasn't as big, but to have, certain in-person things, which can be supplemented with, North Hempstead TV, and which I think is
right. And also, you do still have to wear the mask during class. So it's tricky. So there are a lot of classes that aren't, I mean, the majority of classes are a little slower to accommodate mask week, wearing, because as an instructor myself, teaching with a mask is it's not easy. you're breathing heavy, you're doing the class along, and so it makes the class more complicated for everybody. So we always have chair options. There's always chairs available in every room. Yoga and Tai Chi are it's not easy, again, teaching even a yoga class, because it's so focused on breathing, but those classes can also be toned down, or a little bit made just easier for everybody to take part in it. So
Yeah, and I think that's the overall thing, and that's what I've been saying to people through this whole time is, everyone's just got to be a little understanding for everyone. Everyone's just trying to do their best.
Right. We're all trying to do our best.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, even with yourself, people are hard on themselves or hard on the people, and if there's a time to be, a little easy and give yourself, a little break and give others a little break, is certainly now, because everyone's just kind of trying to navigate things, to the best that they can. So that's, what I just have to let people, just a little reminder, friendly reminder.
Yeah.
But also what is coming up on November 13th, which is next week, I believe. Yep, it's next week. Wow, it's next week. I had to look at the calendar. November 13th at North Hempstead Beach Park is the Stop Throwing Out Pollutants program. It's the last one of the year. It's going to be between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. And at a stop program, you are able to bring aerosols, household chemicals, pesticides, disinfectants, fertilizers, pharmaceuticals, thermostats, rechargeable and lithium batteries, TVs, computers, and of course, you're able to bring up to 6. It's like the banker size boxes, we call them, of documents to shred.
And don't be turned off if the line's really long, because Otto, it's like his favorite day of the year.
It is.
He said the line was so long, but so well organized.
Absolutely. Yeah. And on top of that, you are able to bring, for big brothers, big sisters, we'll be taking clothes and stuffed animals and sporting equipment and shoes and books. And, so there's so many things that are covered. Of course, there are some things that are not. So we always encourage people to call 311 or 86, or actually I have to say 516 now, because isn't that like where we're officially in that, right?
Kristina, what day is the 13th?
The 13th is a Saturday.
Okay.
So it's a Saturday, and that is at North Hempstead Beach Park. But it's really great because you literally sit in your car and pull up to the different stations, and then someone comes and takes it out of the car. So you don't have to schlep, taking these things out. Someone will do it for you. But I think it's a great time to kind of just like get rid of stuff. Otto has really committed to the stop program. He's got,
he's so into it.
It'll all be Otto. He has different boxes of, things. And I liked his idea of, because even though we're in kind of a paperless society, I still get so much paper at my house. I don't know about anyone else, the amount of, a lot of it's magazines and whatnot, but they clearly are targeting me.
Can't imagine why.
But, just having a box where you kind of just toss papers and mail that, is sensitive, that needs to be shredded, I think is great, because then when the time comes, you just scoop up your box and your box is like ready to go to be shredded. So that is, once again, Saturday, November 13th, between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. And this is also an event that is an e-waste event too. So you're able to drop off, all these electronic waste that you don't know what to do with. I think a lot of us have these things like, how do we actually get rid of this? So that's another thing that you're able to bring there. So it's quite the day. It's a day to kind of purge all of like the things you've just been accumulating, over the season. So
it's great, because even like to get rid of paper is so expensive. I had no idea. I mean, I did a whole, attic. I had a central air conditioning put in, so everybody knows. I had to clear out my attic, and I had papers going back, I'm not kidding, to like my first checking account in college. And I put everything in bags, and we had the shredder guy come. It was a fortune.
Yeah.
It's a fortune. So if you have this opportunity.
And of course, and that's, listen, the running joke we always say is the, at home personal little shredders that people have. I mean, everyone's had some kind of disaster because it goes so slow, and then it just like burns out.
Overheats.
So it's like, I'm always like, I remember we had it. I was like, oh, cool, we're shredding things. And we're going. And then I was just like, it's done. So this is great because it's literally, you can bring it and it's done in like 2 seconds. You can watch it be, shredded, for security purposes. Obviously some people want to actually like see it go, and it's it's a great thing, and it's good to help. You're recycling stuff, so it's the right way. So it's really wonderful that North Hempstead has this awesome service that is such a popular one, we know, with our seniors. So
Yeah.
definitely get rid of stuff. And I know we are approaching the end, but there's one more thing that I want to promote. This Luminos City Festival is coming to North Hempstead. It's coming on November 12th to January 9th. It's really, really cool. I don't know if anyone's ever seen this. It's like these like blow up illuminated things. So pretty. It's really good for all ages. It's going to be at Whitney Pond Park in Manhasset. And it's just kind of a nice holiday season thing to do. And it's outdoors, which is nice.
And that's it. And you know what? If you go there, you can also go to Macy's. But that's it. That's the show. So it's another great show, Kristina. Great information. So much stuff going on with Project Independence in the town. Next week will be a rerun, and then the following week will be on.
And to all of our veterans, we're thinking of you this Veterans Day, and thank you all for your service.
Very well said. On that note, Project Independence in You, 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. Have a great couple of weeks, and we'll see you soon.